election in her new book called Hacks. And during an interview on ABC's This Week, Brazile discusses how at one point she seriously considered former Vice President Joe Biden to replace Hillary Clinton as the Democratic nominee after Clinton fainted at the 9/11 ceremony in New York last year.
I had to put it on the table, George, because I was under tremendous pressure after Secretary Clinton fainted to have a quote-unquote plan B.
Joining us now is Kelly Jane Torrance, the deputy managing editor for the Weekly Standard. I want to start here, Kelly Jane, with Brazile's calculation. Is it to sell books? Is it scoring personal grievances, or tough love for her party? Hang out the dirty laundry, force the party to make corrections?
Arthel's probably a little bit of all of the above. And it's quite interesting that the Democrats really have been playing the blame game ever since the election, and they've been focusing on blaming everyone but the candidate herself until now. This is the first time we're really hearing someone at the top of the Democratic Party leadership saying that there were certain things about the campaign that were, unfair to the other primary candidate, and that there were reasons that maybe Hillary Clinton should not have been the candidate, and it might have been better to replace her. Hillary Clinton, in her own book, does not blame herself at all. She blames the Russians, she blames James Comey, a whole litany of excuses.
And Kelly Jane, on that notion that you just mentioned, or the contemplation of replacing nominee Hillary Clinton with Vice President Joe Biden, first, it's not a move that the DNC chair can make on her own. She has to consult with top Democrats in Congress and Democratic governors. And Brazile, she ultimately did not put that ball into play. Secondly, when you consider who might have known about Ms. Brazile's considerations, does that matter?
It does, and it's interesting because you're right. She could not have done it on her own. She would have had to work with, people in the party, and also Democratic governors and Democrats in Congress would have had a say too. And I really think the fact that she's coming out with this, I think this is how you can tell that Hillary Clinton's political career is officially over. Democrats are no longer too scared of the Clinton machine to criticize her. The gloves have really been coming off now, and this is, really the most shocking thing we've seen about it. And
I want to play a little bit more from Donna Brazile on ABC this week, and we'll talk about it.
I don't think she meant the word rigged, because what I said, George, as you well know, after I left this show back on July 24th, I said I would get to the bottom of everything. And that's what I did. And I called Senator Sanders to say, I wanted to make sure there was no rigging in the process. I'm on the Rules and Bylaws Committee. I found no evidence. None whatsoever. The only thing I found, which I said I found the cancer, but I'm not killing the patient, was this memorandum that prevented the DNC from running its own operation.
And that, of course, was in reference to Elizabeth Warren on CNN saying that she felt that the process was rigged. But concerning Brazile's assertions that the Clinton campaign had control over the DNC operations and finances, that's what this is about. An email, by the way, obtained by NBC News, it was first published by the Washington Post, shows that the DNC's lawyers told the Sanders campaign that they could have some influence over how money would be spent to prepare for the general election if they raised enough cash for the party. However, you have two former top Sanders campaign officials saying they were never specifically offered a deal like Clinton's, and they didn't know of the details of Clinton's deal. And so there's that. So overall, when you look at the big picture, Kelly Jane, what's the big correction the Dems have to make? I mean, can they make it? And if so, how much time do they have?
I sort of have mixed feelings about this one, because is Bernie Sanders a Democrat? He ran for the Democratic presidential nomination, but he does not sit as a Democrat in the Senate. He's not a Democrat. He now caucuses with them. He votes with them on the whole, but he's
still
really been a big part of the party.
You see that this is exposing there's some infighting. There's some problems inside the Democratic Party. That's why I'm asking you that question.
There is, and it's not just the personalities. It's an ideological one, because you have Bernie Sanders supporters are sort of the more progressive wing of the party. People like Senator Warren, and they are anxious to take control and push the Democratic Party further to the left. Whereas a lot of moderate Democrats think that, maybe we lost because we had a president that was so progressive and kind of turned a lot of Americans off. And if we go even further in that direction, we're going to even further further turn Americans off. So it really is kind of a fight for the soul of the party. A lot of people talk about the fight in the Republican Party right now because of the president, but really the Democrats have just as much soul searching to do, and this is certainly going to be this book is certainly going to be a reading on every Democratic desk, I think, in the next month.
Short answer, quickly, after the dust settles, will Donna Brazile be seen as party traitor or party savior?
Wow, that's a big question for a quick one, but I think savior eventually. It's going to be hard now because people don't like the nastiness that they think is coming from her tone. And I have to say, identity politics has been a big part of what she's been talking about too. She actually said she ended up deciding not to try to replace Clinton in part because she thought of all the women who were so proud of and excited for Hillary Clinton, and she said, I couldn't do that to them. And that's another thing I think the Democratic Party is going to have to think about, is whether identity politics has been working for them.
Kelly Jane Torrance, I have to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Orthel.
Orthel, last week's deadly terrorist attack here in New York City, well, thankfully today, it has failed to deter 50,000 runners from participating in this year's New York City Marathon. Take a look at how police are keeping them safe. We will in a moment, as well as the outpouring of support for one of the victims killed in that truck rampage.
It hit close to home, when we found out. It's like, wow, it's hard.
Ahead, many are mourning the two Americans who were killed in that attack. 32-year-old Darren Drake in New Jersey. He had dinner every night with his parents. And 23-year-old Nicholas Cleves of Manhattan. He just graduated from Skidmore College last year. Two bright futures. Two of our fellow citizens cut down by radical Islamic terrorism.
It's okay that everybody